he's on one other pill, but I can't really remember what it's for. His sugar levels will come down. We've stopped, you know, pricking his finger. We haven't done that in a long time. Some of the scary things that have happened to him is, you know, when you get out of control, you have to worry about your eyesight. You have to, and he's got glaucoma, so we had to worry about that. Your feet, you have to worry about your feet. We were told you can't go outside, not even to the garbage can, barefooted. You cannot, he couldn't wear slides anymore. He couldn't, nothing without socks. And we started to see patterns on the bottom of his feet, which were very disturbing. They looked almost like birthmarks, almost. Really scary. So we went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, keep an eye on him, but if they open up, you know, you need to come right back, because you, as you know, sores don't heal once you have, you know, you're diabetic. A lot of times they don't heal real quick. So we had to keep an eye on that, and it was really scary because they would change, they would get bigger, some would get smaller, sometimes he'd get more. And so we were constantly looking at the bottom of his feet to make sure that those weren't changing or that none of them opened up. Never could go anywhere with sandals or slides or anything because he couldn't go without socks. Not even in the house, don't walk around the house without socks. So those were some things that we had to change. He still will have periods where he will have maybe, I don't really know what else to call them, because I always kind of feel like it's a sugar low, because he will start to sweat, and I mean, just sweat running off his arms, or, you know, he'll have to sit down. So we keep things around the house. We bought those little, I think they were glucose tabs. We have those in every room of the house. They're in his van, they're in his backpack, they're everywhere. Juice, we found, was the quickest thing to bring him out of whatever was going on. So we'd be all like running, you know, to get a glass of juice. Jolly Ranchers, we keep a lot of those in glove boxes and stuff like those to kind of bring it. I mean, we were at the store and literally had to open a candy bar that we hadn't paid for at one point just to keep him from passing out on the floor at the store. You know, it's like, but so we have found that these kind of things work for him, but he's had to use them less and less because the weight has come off. He's kept the weight off. I've never been a diet person. I've never gone on a diet. I've never in my life been on a diet because we've always done everything in moderation. You know, we always try to just eat moderately. That's kind of what, and you can lead a horse to water, and that's what we kept trying to do with him. But, you know, you can't make him do the things he doesn't want to do. He had to, at one point, do all of this on his own. I had everything there for him, everything that the doctor told me to buy, but if he wasn't going to eat it, you know, there was not a whole lot I could do for him. When he started to want to feel better and to take the weight off, his body started to be better. And that's kind of my story. Where he is today, he takes a Paxil because he's got a lot of, he's a little, I can't think of the word. He gets stressed out really bad, so he will take that, and he takes a high blood pressure pill. He's off all the other stuff. And so that's been really great. We've been better. We don't buy the candy. We don't have that junk food covered. He stopped for a long time on potato chips. He's kind of gotten back into that a little bit, but he doesn't snack the way he did. His feet look much better. He still wears socks, but I think that we've got it under control. And that's just kind of what we did. We have our little vegetables in the fridge, and he's not real good about eating them. He ate a lot of string cheese forever, but you know, once the weight came off, once he started to control his weight, we were able to control the diabetes. And so he still goes now every 6 months. He has his blood test. They tell him, hey, keep doing whatever it is you're doing. It took a long time for the weight to come off. I know it was about 3 or 4 years, and he was a good 50 pounds overweight, but he's kept it off. And, you know, that was good, because it was just out of control at one point.
And then how about Nikki? How is she?
Nikki does really well. She has, you know, she goes to her doctor every, I think, 6 months, every 3 to 6 months. I think she just went the other day, and she had her test done. Everything came back great. She was concerned because she has had a hypothyroid, and so they had put her on some medication for a while for that, but they've taken her off of that. And so she was thinking the other day that maybe it was acting up again, but when she went to the doctor, they told her that she was great, she was fine. As long as Nikki keeps exercising and eating, you know, the things that she's supposed to eat, and she's really good about that, really good. She eats nuts, she eats fruit, she eats vegetables, she eats whole grains, and we just kind of keep on with Pam's high five. It's been the best thing that I've ever done. She's been great. She keeps her weight the same within just, you know, 2 or 3 pounds, and she just has to make sure she doesn't eat all those starches. Yeah. So she's lucky that she's controlled it that way. I do want to say that I work with a person who has type 2 diabetes, who I kind of keep track of him a little bit because he's young, but he's had half of his foot amputated. And it was really disturbing for me because he cut his foot, and it never healed, never healed. And he ended up having to go in and have, you know, the front half, his, you know, from his toes, and he had to have that amputated. And, you know, that scared me with my husband, because I thought, that's drastic when that stuff happens. So that's my story.
What I think is always a curiosity, Susan, you've kind of got the high five idea under control in your life. You've been doing it now for a while, several years. Yeah. And what do you eat morning throughout the day? Tell us what your normal day would look like in food.
My normal day, and I'm not the best. I mean, you know, like when I want sugar, I eat candy, and we have a lot of it at work, and it sabotages me. It's my submarine. And quickly, my husband drinks a lot of Diet Coke, not a lot of water. I feel like that's not something he should do. I quit drinking Diet Coke probably about 6 years ago. And I don't know, one day I just decided I wasn't going to do it anymore. I thought, you know what, I don't need it, I don't want it. That's kind of his submarine, is the Diet Coke. I don't feel like, and more than just whatever it is they put in it besides sugar, I feel like the carbonation is not something that we need. So for me, I get up in the morning, and when I go to boot camp, which has been the best thing I ever did, because I put Pam in charge of my workout. Because, and I'll go back briefly, I've always watched my weight because it was always just important to me to stay thin. I had 5 kids. I didn't want to gain weight after my kids. I just didn't want to do it. And when I had my last 2 daughters, I was in my middle to late 30s. And I got pregnant with Mikey, and it was like, what? How did this happen? She needs a pal. So we decided we'll have another one. Well, I dreamed one night, because I felt like so old at the time, that after I had Mallory, my stomach hung to my knees. And I woke up thinking, I have got to be really careful. I can't have this happen to me. So I bought a treadmill, and I just started pounding that treadmill, and Mallory's 23 years old. So I was walking, I was treadmilling, I was trying to do everything I could and still be healthy for my family because I was a stay-at-home mom. I always made sure everything was really balanced. When I went to work, it got a little harder. But so for today, on boot camp days, I get up in the morning and I come to boot camp and I run home and I shower and I go to work and I take with me my lunch because I work for a franchise office for McDonald's restaurants. And we own 29 restaurants. And we get free food. Free food. So it's like, no, I'm gonna pack my lunch. I can't eat McDonald's every day. So I eat a hard-boiled egg, I take the V8, and I take a banana. And that's usually what I eat in the morning. And I know that isn't my whole thing. I know that I need, you know, the protein or whatever, but I will always pack a few almonds. I pack some vegetables, like to eat in between, but I don't really graze a lot throughout the day because I just don't want to. So I usually eat those for lunch. For lunch, I will take a bag of vegetables, always a big bag of vegetables, and I take celery, carrots, cucumbers, tomatoes, I like the little cherry tomatoes, and tons of hummus. I love hummus. So I'll go to Costco and I'll buy, you know, the little hummus things. I throw in crackers. I find now that I can eat Triscuits because they're like my favorite thing. And I'll always watch how many is in a serving. So I do that. I'll take 6 crackers. And what else will I, oh, cheese. I'm huge on cheese. So I feel like for my dairy, I'll either take low-fat cottage cheese, I'll either slice cheese or take string cheese. Yogurt. I eat a lot. I eat a lot of the Boyko's yogurt, and I see now they have this one that's in a black container that's, I think, got even less sugar because I was finding there was a lot of sugar in yogurt. So I had to be really careful about the yogurt that I was buying. So those are the kind of the things I trade off for lunch. And then for dinner, I go home and I eat, we usually will eat a lean meat, you know, and it might be turkey in a wrap because we don't eat a lot at night because we all work, we're tired, we don't want to come home, and we don't want to make dinner. You know, I hate it. So we either eat chicken, once in a while I'll buy pork, you know, just the whatever they are, the other white meat. And lean hamburger, if we barbecue hamburgers or whatever, I'll do that. But I always try to, you know, make it balanced. We have vegetables, we have meat, you know, very seldom do we eat bread or anything with dinner. We drink lots of water. We drink tons of water throughout the day. And that's pretty much what we do.
You have a little fruit at night?
You know, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, just simply because I buy apples, bananas, and I take those throughout the day.
Okay.
And that's sometimes our biggest submarine is because it's like we eat between 5:30, 6:30, and at 7:30 you're like, treat time, you know, what are we gonna have for a treat? And that's really hard because that's when we get, okay, ice cream. Or, you know, we bake something, you know. And for me, I feel guilty eating it, so a lot of times if I do, I hate myself for it. Or if we do, we cut everything very small. We don't eat a brownie that's like this, we cut them really small and we say, okay, and then we put things away. Our biggest thing in our house is if it's on the counter, we eat it. So we put everything away. If we have brownies or cookies, which we don't have very often because I'm very lazy when it comes to baking anymore, those things get put away. Because if it's on the counter, we're just gonna sit and eat it. Every time we walk past it, we'll eat it. Or we don't have a snack at all. So those are kind of the things. I guess I could eat more fruit at night, and maybe I should do that, but I just kind of like to save my fruit for the daytime,
Yeah.
you know, and so, and I shop weekly, and I try to shop enough so that I don't have to go back during the week, because if I go back during the week, I'm tired, I stop on my way home from work, and it's like, ooh, that sounds good, you you know, and then I end up buying something that I don't need, that none of us need. I have another daughter that still lives at home, and, you know, we need to be careful about her because we're just not sure how, well, clearly this is genetic in our family, so. That's what we do.